I feel half off today. Have you ever had one of them kind of days like you know something is off? Well, fortunately, on a StreamYard, when you have one of those days, it does move your camera over. How about that? I gotta get me a Panavision. I gotta be in panoramic mode. There's just too much of me of being a small picture like that. I gotta just spread it out. Yeah, I gotta make a suggestion to StreamYard to stretch me out. Give me Panavision. Oh, somebody was in here and then they went, oh no, it's not him again. I'm like that bad relative that just won't go away. Just when you've seen the last of him. Folks, this is a season we should be kind to one another. Be nice. Even if it cramps your style a little bit, try to be nice. It's hard, but you can do it. Can't wait till my peeps get in here so that we can find out how their day is going. We know I checked in with Motobomb this morning and had a cup of coffee of him and sick and Ray. We had a good gathering here this morning. Started out early today. I think we kicked it off around 8:30. They did, and I joined in. Um, let's just see if we can have a noon midday chat. And it's not midday here in my part of the country, but it's moving that in that direction. It's cold out there. Not as cold as it was yesterday. I think it's going to be up in the 50s today, and that'll be nice. We've seen somebody show up over there. Let me put a link down here. Oh yeah, I already pinned that link up there. They showed me how to do that the other day. But I'll put this right here. I'll stick this over here. And that way, best way to do is I think go to my community page. I use the same link over and over and over. So well, we had a crew on here until after midnight last night. Oh, we're having we're having electrical issues this morning. I think my modem is going off. Come on. It's cold. It's having a hard time for that Wi-Fi signal to swim its way all the way from the tower. I'm 7 miles from the tower, so I'm at the very fringed area, but I got a good signal when it's there. Who's going to be the first one into the old Max Live here? Yeah, I got my little wreath back there. I was going to hang it up here on the stars, right up here in the middle, but I thought that would bring discredit to the stars. So I just left it there on the back of the couch. Had a good breakfast this morning. I made yesterday hamburgers. I mixed the meat up. We bought some seasoning. One, Slap Your Mama. It's called Slap Your Mama hamburger mix. Oh, I mean, seasoned. You throw that in there. And I don't remember what the other one was, but there was two that I put in there. And I took some high-hole crackers, crumbled them up real good, and throw it in there. A couple of eggs, onions. Oh, big juicy hamburgers. Now I didn't put mine on a bun. I like an open faced burger. So I fixed enough of them today. I'm gonna have leftover hamburger patties, mac and cheese, and a good green salad. That's gonna be lunch. Got to get myself in good physical shape for Christmas. Well, I see three people in here now. Let me see if I can do this right here. Oh, people are going away in a hurry. Maybe I should have put a motorcycle or something on here so people feel like they're on a motorcycle channel. When I got back from Washington, it was really cold. The old bike had been sitting there on the trailer. I don't know if some of you saw this. Let me see if I can go over and find that. Oh, Rainbow Life. Good seeing you too this morning. We were going to go to the store, but then it came to the realization that it's Friday the 13th. So we decided we'll wait till tomorrow. I think we might go get us a pizza tomorrow. I like that Pizza Hut. You know, when we was over there in Flagstaff, we called Pizza Hut from the hotel. We said, could you bring us two personal pan pizzas? And they brought us two personal pan pizzas. We didn't order the breadsticks and I'm just two personal pan pizzas. $40. Oh, we ain't whining, but well, the people got to make a living. It was I think they used DoorDash or something like that to deliver the food to you. Everybody got to get their cut, but it was so good. In fact, I didn't eat all of my personal pan pizza. I saved it till the next day, and we were cruising along out there. I think we'd made it over to, we'd crossed, yeah, I crossed the state of New Mexico, Arizona, and then crossed New Mexico. Got out there, and she had it in the cooler, and she broke out that the other half of the pizza. Her and I, we shared it. She ate hers. Oh, that was so good. It was cool, and that it was in the cooler, nice and cold. Cold pizza is not bad. I've eaten a lot of cold chicken. Prefer it hot, but there's some things that works real good cold. Be safe out there. I think you're in East Tennessee, if I remember right. Can be treacherous around the curves. I'm just burning up some time. Got to go out after a while when it gets warmer. Me and the dog. Yeah, East Tennessee. I think we had a discussion about. I used to love to truck over there in East Tennessee, Eastern Kentucky. I just like the hills. I used to go to Leawood, West Virginia. I used to haul hydraulic rams here in Birmingham, Alabama. They rebuild these huge. Each of the rams weigh probably 10, 12 tons. They use them for holding up the mines when they're underground mining. And it has a big shelf like thing, and this hydraulic ram, big cylinder, they protect the miners inside. I used to go to Leawood, West Virginia with my flatbed truck, had that thing loaded down with hydraulic rams. I hauled an engine one time, a V12 engine that went in a one of those Komatsu 350-ton trucks up there at Leawood, West Virginia. When I got up at the top, I took it up there to the delivery place, and I was admiring the trucks all around in the yard there that was in different states of repair. I said, "You mind if I take some pictures?" He said, "No, man, go out there." So he goes along with me, and I stood up next to the wheel. I'm 6'1", and the wheels are like 12 foot on the thing, big wheels. He said, "Let's go up in the cabin." So we climbed 3 sets of stairs and got up there in the cabin. And there was a little joystick over on the left-hand side, forward, back, left, right, or any variation of that. And that big V12 engine ran a dynamo, and the wheels are all electrically driven. The guy said, "Take it for a ride, take it for a drive." And but we it was really interesting. You get the engine running there, and it's all electric. It won't let you move until you build up enough of pressure to release the brake so you can roll. But never have I ever driven a vehicle that had a joystick. Such a monstrous machine. I think he said, I think the guy said that engine was 2,400 horsepower for a V12 diesel. It's like a kind of like a locomotive engine, huge, big. Well, it maxed out my truck hauling it up there on the, it was shipped in a big frame, a big metal framework, and it was as wide as the flatbed. It was 8 foot across there. Heavy. My favorite place to go in West Virginia was Leawood. I like Beckley. US 19 over there. He goes to the New River. And I'm going along there, and every time I crossed that bridge, I said, "I'm going to stop and go down to the bottom and take my camera and shoot from the bottom up and see, 700-foot span. That bridge is 700 foot out above the river. So I pulled in there and I went and talked to these people. And they said, yeah, you can park there. We normally don't allow it. It says no commercial vehicles, but I said, I want to walk down it. So I trotted my fat butt all the way down to the river. You're going downhill down these flights of stairs. It spirals down through there. When I got down to the bottom, I did the video and all that stuff that you would do when you get down there to the New River. And I had to walk my lazy fat butt all the way up that hillside. Woo. That was a long. I was ready to get into sleeper. So when I left there, I left the river, went up about a mile or two, and hung a left, and went over to Gurley Falls in West Virginia. Oh boy, you talking about beautiful. I stayed at a hotel there that was built during George Washington's time in the 1700s. It's one of the oldest structures and it's still a good, beautiful right on the river. I can't even remember the name of that river right there. But what a beautiful place. If you ever get a chance, go to Gurley Falls. And what was that? There's another town over there. There are several places. Yeah, West Virginia. Trucking gives you the opportunity to see so many beautiful places. I've been to Big Granite. I've been up in Pennsylvania, where some of the big marble, where they cut off big slabs of marble. I've hauled loads of marble. I've hauled, you name it, I've hauled it. I always love traveling. Oh yeah. I used to take the runs when I'd go in over in the day room. They would post the jobs, and you could go over and select. If you was off a run, you could go select you a run. I did. I used to haul from Rimlount, Alabama, to Linwood, Washington, and I'd have a load of steel. They would come down here and buy Alabama's cheap steel because Alabama has some great steel mills here, and they produce a lot of economical steel compared to what it would cost to set up a foundry out in the West. So I'd haul loads of steel out there. And you couldn't quite make it in a 70-hour week. If you start out with your logbook clean, yeah, you could do the run. But if you already had, say, 35 hours used up in your logbook, you had to be very creative. So I used to get my load to Spokane, Washington. I could only do this sometimes. I would ask the guys at the Flying J or Love's, was the scale house open across I-90 into Washington. They said, no, man, it's all closed. They're doing a construction on the pass and they got everything closed over there. So, man, I would log myself. I'd get in a sleeper in Spokane, deliver my load to Linwood, Washington, get it dumped off, come back to Spokane, and I'd start my book all over again. I'd leave out from Spokane with a fresh new page and my logbook, and we did that a lot of times. A lot of things you got to do when you're on the road. You got to be a little creative. Now with the new e-log, you don't get that opportunity. It's a good life if you like traveling, and I do. It was a perfect life for me because I don't require a lot of sleep. And but I had to stay within the framework of the law because the company was really serious about not getting a ticket for being sending drivers out when they were out of time on their book. Nothing worse than running out of time and you got to lay over in Odessa, Missouri, on the side of the highway. When I was on the West Coast, we hauled up and down the West Coast for a number of years. One time we were, hello, hello, Mr. Toga. We were on Highway US 395, right up above Pasco, Washington, heading towards Spokane. And the scale house wasn't open. We couldn't go past. We had to go through the scale, so we had to wait for the scale master to get there. We found out the reason we was all sitting there waiting. The scale master had arrested so many drivers. I mean, they had to go down and post bond. Everybody was so overweighted. We were hauling from Dayton, Washington, which is up in the hills, up in the Blue Mountains, right over in the corner of Washington, right there at the Hells Canyon, where Idaho's across the river, Snake River, and we were right there at the corner in the Blue Mountains, and we were hauling potatoes. Well, you know me, Toga, go ahead and do your work, buddy, but I'll just keep talking. So everybody hauling out of the field, they had opened up this new field, and it was full of volcanic rock, but it was also full of potatoes. And when the machine digs the potatoes, it puts them in rows, and then a machine comes through and it picks the row up, comes up a conveyor belt, shakes all the rocks out as many as it can, and then puts them over in your truck. And you're pulling a set of doubles. You've got a tractor with a box on it, and then you got a pup, a 28-foot pup in the back. And so many of the drivers coming hauling from out of Dayton over there, there was so many tons overweight. Well, while we were sitting there, we see this airplane fixing to land in Pasco, Washington. It was making a long glide and slope in, and an odd-looking plane. Hey, Sid. It's been a long time, buddy. I mean, where you been? So I said, what is that? And they said, that's a Boeing plane. I go, a Boeing plane? They said, yeah, the commercial airplane company, Boeing, they make it, it's called a 727. This boy was explaining it to me. He said, see them motors on the side? Yeah. He's got 3 motors. One goes through the tail, and you got 2 on the side. And when he goes to take off, he tilts them motors down. I think, well, what a novel idea. And it gives him acceleration off the end of the runway. Well, I was gullible. I had no way of knowing, but I knew I had to see it. So 4 of us takes off to Renton, Washington, where they was building these things. They actually were being built in Seattle, but they were doing partial assembly in Renton. And we got over and we saw the planes taking off, but the motors don't tilt. I think there's a slight adjustment in them. I don't know, but I loved it. It was beautiful. When we came out from Seattle, we went over on Highway I-405. It's a loop around the city of Seattle. When I was coming down off the hill, off I-5 onto 405, I see a sign that said, Boeing now hiring mechanics. My brother and I always considered ourselves being good mechanics. I mean, we built a lot of street rods, and my brother-in-law, he was with us, him and I and my brother, we built a lot of street rides. I said, hey, let's go be a mechanic at this company. We'll get off the highway. Let's leave the road and go over there, and we'll just stay the winter. And that way we don't have to cross the Rockies. We were hauling timber out of Billings and Butte and over in that area across the Rockies, dressed timber. And so we stopped in at the Sheraton Hotel there in right off 405. Said they were taking interviews. We went in, all four of us interviewed, and they said, "Oh, it's not that easy. You passed the interview, but now you got to take a test, an aptitude test to find out, how we're going to be able to work you." Well, when it got through, we all qualified to be mechanics. But they said, hold it, it don't end there. You've got to go to school for 6 weeks to learn how to be a Boeing mechanic. I said, well, yeah, they're going to have different spark plugs on them and different carburetors and stuff like that. And I said, well, we got to learn those things. So we went ahead and signed in, and we called our family, said, we're not coming home. We're going to stay over here and build airplanes. We'll send you when we get settled in. We'll send for you. Well, they sent us to school, and we kept putting metal together, rivets and bolts. And they got all kinds of new terminologies we had to learn. Keller drills, where you drill a hole and countersink it, and then we had to learn how to use a bucking bar and how to use a rivet gun. And when we got through, we were all mechanics, but it was called sheet metal mechanic. I didn't get to change those spark plugs. I didn't get to change a flat tar or change the oil. I didn't get to put a new carburetor on that big motor. So they sent me to Plant 2, right across the street from where they built the B-17s and all the wonderful, beautiful aircraft, war machines. Went upstairs. I was on third floor. And they put me in what they call pots and pans. Pots and pans in the aviation world was where you build avionics. Up on the dashboard, you have all these racks and all your electronics are inside. And you have to assemble all these electronic racks that they slide into the dash and bolt in, and you've got all your altimeters and all that stuff built in there. We didn't have LED displays. We didn't have no kind of digital screen. In the mid-60s, that had not been invented yet. It was all analog. So my brother, he was right over there to my left. He was in what they call Kruger flaps. Hey, 2-4. Kruger flaps are the leading edge flaps on any modern jet. They can extend those slats out there. The Kruger flaps go out, makes the cord of the wing a lot thicker, gives greater amount of lift. And my brother-in-law, he was downstairs in assembly where the aircraft was being put together. We were making sub-assemblies. So he was down there in the assembly. So after we were there for 6 months, my supervisor said, the superintendent wants to interview you. I went, I don't know what he has to talk to me about. So I went up there to the superintendent's office. His name was Robert Asp, A-S-P, Robert Asp. And I went in and we shook hands, and he had my personnel folder in front of him. And he said, I see you got a little bit of electronic background. And he had everything on me, everything that they had security had found out about me. And he said, how would you like to join aerospace? I go, what the hell is aerospace? He said, it's a division of the Boeing Aircraft Company where we do flyaway items for space exploration. He said, we're in our preparing to go to the moon and all that kind of stuff. And I said, that sounds interesting to me. So they sent me down to what's called the DC Developmental Center. DC. DC stood for Developmental Center. That was right across the road from Peterbilt and not Freightliner, Kenworth Trucking Company. That's where the big factory was, where they built those big trucks. So I stayed down there for a little while, and the superintendent came to me. Each of those things are called MBU. M, Mike, Bravo, Uniform, MBU. You have a manager over the MBU. That's a division of the Boeing company. And each of those have managers. Well, the manager wanted to interview me. And he said, how would you like to join our team and work remote? I go, what is that? What do you do there? He said, well, we send you out on these remote locations, and you'll have a crew, and you'll build missile silos, or you'll be doing whatever we do. It's called Strategic Air Command. You'll be stationed at one of our nation's premium Air Force bases. We don't know which ones, but there's a firing order. And he said, right now, if you accept it, we'll send you to Montana. Well, I accepted, so they sent me to a place called Auburn, Washington. And I went down to Auburn, and they said I had to spend 5 years down there as a welder. We were building flyaway items for Strategic Air Command. Portions that built all the subassemblies for each every missile silo. We had to build the subassemblies. But I couldn't just be a welder because it was in my personnel folder that I was a welder. I could weld. I had to be a certified welder, so they sent me to school to become a certified welder. And I got my 15 certifications. And then the Air Force guy come in and interviewed me. He said, your folder came across my desk, and I got to give you an interview if you're interested in it. And so we sat down and had a little talk. The guy said, we like what we see. If you sign right here, you can be a member of our team, and you'll be on a remote assignment. And I signed there, and that was the beginning of many years. I think I've spent a total of 22 years total. And we went everywhere, wherever there was a Strategic Air Command. And had a time of my life. Oh my, I had such great crews. I built lasting memories with people forever that worked in our team. We stayed, well, I tell you, when I got down to Missouri, they sent me to Whiteman Air Force Base. And when we got to Whiteman, I thought, oh my God, this is heaven. Because in Missouri, they had summer and they had winter and fall, and it wasn't like Seattle, where it was rain, cold. A typical June day in the Seattle area is 48 degrees and raining. Typical day. Or 51 degrees and drizzling. Or 56 degrees and gray and overcast. And then the weather would get bad. So I'm down in Missouri, having the time of my life, and we finished the project. I went through four wings. There's the missile system was divided up in 4 wings. My not being up in Wing 1 area. I worked Maelstrom at Wing 1. All your northern tier areas was Wing 1. Cheyenne Mountain, all right. So we ended up in Wing 4 down at Sedalia. And then it all come to an end. They said, we got to send you home. Thank you for your service. They sent me back to the main office, back to Auburn. And then they came over there. The military people said, we got a new thing. It's called the 3D world, three-dimensional, X, Y, and Z, 3 axes of dimension. And it's all about computers. But we're going to need to have you certified in your computer skills. I said, what the hell's a computer? They go, oh, remember this is the early years. I think 1980 is when they introduced me to the 3D world, 1980. And home computers was not a thing at that time. I think Tandy Corporation had a home computer, Trash 80, Model 3. Just at the very beginning, they didn't have any hard drives in those days. They had floppy disk and they had tape backup systems. We had no internet. It had not been invented yet. And so I took that little endeavor on, and we got involved in things that would just dazzle the imagination. In the 3D world, you can take this thing is called a laser interferometer, and has a beam of light. And attached to the cradle, where all your electronics and 3 different computer compilers were on this column, was a cradle that had a round ball that had 3 ground mirrors in it. And the laser from off the BLT, Boeing Laser Tracker, would shine in on those mirrors and come back to itself. In other words, it would send a signal out and come back to the compiler. And so we started measuring stuff in 3 dimensions. 3 dimensions. Took us 7 years to build that tube. And we was in bed. There's a brand new company, had never been started. It was a new company called Microsoft. And the company switched over because we had like 30 different machine languages, and nobody could ever master any particular one. You may know a little bit about one, or you may know a lot about one. You may be an expert in one, but you're not going to be a master of all of them. So in Pennsylvania, they ran their own machine language. Houston, Texas had their own machine language. And Windows came in there and said, if you'll hire us, we will develop you a language that all of your Boeing facilities, no matter where in the world, look right here. Oh my God, we got Mr. T-Bone all up in here. Hey, T-Bone.
Hey, what's going on, Mike?
You got here just in time. I've been rambling along here for about 39 minutes, and these folks were needing a break.
Well, it's been a while since I've been on your channel.
Well, I hope you didn't stay away because of bad breath or something.
No, I've just been, right now I'm kind of like the rest of the country right now. I've been studying a little bit about these drones up in New Jersey. What do you think on that, Mike? What's your head on that?
Okay, since I flew drones for a long time, and big ones, I'm talking about the big ones, and our corporation, my company, we got in developing of these big. They would fly from Lancaster, California, all the way over to the theater of operation over in the Middle East. And they stay up in the air sometimes as much as a month. They refuel in the air and stay in the air for a month. But these things we're seeing over there in New Jersey, they look like there's a little bit more to them than what meets the eye.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting out of it. Well, one of the I was watching one of the news reports here just a few minutes ago, and one of the guys, I don't know if he's a senator or what he is, but he had said that these things' arrival had correlated with what he called a Iran mothership that were carrying these drones and dropping them off on the East Coast. So, I don't know.
Everybody's got.
They've kind of got, yeah. Well, we're kind of in a unique spot in this country. Everybody remembers the Chinese balloon that they just let kind of just float completely all the way across the U.S. here. What was that, earlier this year or late last year that happened?
That's right.
And then they waited until it got out of the ocean and they shot it down. Yet they waited till it had did everything that it needed to do before they shot it down. So
You can look at it in many different ways. They actually the country itself said this were only upper atmosphere observations they were making. And look how many times we have done overflights of China and Russia all of our life. I've been involved in so many overflights. We built a brand new airplane during my period of time called the U-2. That its whole job was to spy on China and Russia. We did a good job.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, I remember I've watched a lot of stuff about the U-2. But these things here, these drones here, it kind of makes it's almost impossible to think that they are personal drones
Friendly,
that are just owned by Joe Schmo out in the boons has built a big drone and turned it loose. It's hard to believe that that's what it is.
Mr. Toga is in here, and in his country, they build one of the best drones that has done so much for, well, I say the country of Ukraine, the Bayraktar. Are you familiar with the Bayraktar?
I've heard of it, but I'm not super familiar with it. But I just recently heard of it just here the last couple of days in doing the studying on what's happening in New Jersey.
You ought to look the song up. I did it one time and I played it here. They got they even made a song of the Bayraktar. They received those from Turkey, and this thing we thought Boeing. Boeing's got I always thought in our being American, everything we build in America is better than anywhere in the world. Ain't nothing can compare.
Yeah.
But we come to find out, oh hell, we were like children, compared to some of the stuff that other people are building, and we just can't.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Oh, hey, sick bastard! I see you down there. I'm checking the comments on another device, but yeah, that's technology. When you think about technology just on a worldwide scale, China and Japan lead everything. Turkey. I mean, America really, like you say, it's in its infancy. We still haven't even climbed out of the sandbox yet and got onto the world scale.
We have a hard time getting past our own ego. If we could, once we get that master, we're going to be the kings of the world. But we got to get past that. When I was a kid, I believe we invented everything. We never could imagine any other country had enough of smarts to make a telephone or a TV or none of that stuff.
Right. Yeah. Well, and again, that's just that just goes back to the message, which that message is now lost. When I was a kid, and certainly when you was growing up, it was America, 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 America.
Hell yeah.
That was it.
I'm gonna tell you,
that was it. So
Toby has a good reason to be really proud of his country. Look at the history. You look in, you read historically back from the way back from the biblical time. Turkey was there as a country. America hadn't even been found yet.
Yeah, now America was still just a bunch of standing pines. Yeah.
The Indians were throwing rocks at one another.
Yeah. Well, my head on this thing is if it's top secret technology that our country somehow has developed and they're testing it, they're doing whatever they need to do. Someone just needs to say, look, guys, we know what that is. Don't worry about it. But what you keep getting from the White House and the Pentagon and everybody else is, we don't know. We don't know what it is. We don't know what it's doing. Well, okay, if it's not ours and it's in our airspace, let an F-16 do a real close flyby and pop a propeller, let that thing hit the ground. Let's find out whose it is and why it's here. I mean, this
You
is
know,
our country. We have the right to protect our airspace.
well, 10 years ago, they were all over Phoenix, Arizona. I mean, seen by
Yeah.
millions of people flying triangle formations and all kinds of stuff. And it went on
Oh, yeah.
for a year, and they never could resolve it because every time they look at off the coast of San Diego, aircraft carrier sends up a
Yep.
squadron of F-14 Tomcats, and they see these things and they chase them and couldn't even catch them.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you know how
Well,
fast
and it's, oh, yeah. Well, it's not like these things are flying over us at 37,000 feet.
no.
I mean, they're just clearing the treetops. People are getting them with their cell phone cameras. So they're definitely in the airspace. What I think it'll take is, I think it'll take one of them things actually flying over the White House or the Pentagon. Then somebody will get the idea that, hey, maybe we need to check these things out and see what they are.
There's a lot of Ray Moto there talked about the pyramids. There's still a lot of mystery about the pyramid. That hasn't exactly been they haven't convinced me that they wasn't some kind of a higher power. How could you lift a 40-ton rock and do all that kind of stuff and move it for miles and miles and miles? I'm sure you could drag it with a rope.
Yeah. Well, and we have watched all these television shows where we don't have the technology, we don't have the heavy equipment today to move those things.
Whoa. And look at the idea, the pyramid. Well, you see the pyramid, which is a beautiful design, but how about the pyramids of Central America, the Incas and the Aztec and those people? How is it people from other parts of the world had the same idea to build a pyramid-shaped building?
Yeah.
And they didn't have
well, and that's I was going to say, there wasn't no way to mass communicate to the rest of the world that this was what you was doing.
There's a lot of mystery things. I think it keeps us inspired too to try to get to the bottom of a mystery. But there's a lot of things that has not been explained to my satisfaction yet. One time I think you might have been on when I talked about Stephen Hawking. He was in Sao Paulo, Brazil at a conference down there. He was already incapacitated as far as being able to communicate, but he had ways of communicating with his eyes, and he had an interpreter. And he told us about ancient history. If you really want a good course in ancient history, just walk out on your back porch at night and look at the stars. There is ancient history, because what you see may not even exist today. The light may have already expired a million years ago, but the light is just now getting here. That's hard to explain, knowing the speed of light.
Yeah, well, and that's that's kind of one of those things too. When you stop and you think about the pyramids, you think about the Mayan temples. Okay, you think about Stonehenge. Stonehenge has never been satisfactorily explained. The giant stone heads on Easter Island have never been satisfactorily explained.
Look how deep they are down in the ground. They're not just heads. There's body down under the ground.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Then you take in, you take into that, and then you take into, I can't remember exactly which coast it is, but when you dive down into the ocean so far, there's roads, statues, columns, buildings. What a lot of people say was Atlantis. I don't know if it was Atlantis, but things get, you can't, if you look at the overall size of Stonehenge, okay, how long those rocks have been standing there with the caps on them, They're symmetrical. They're perfectly placed across from each other. We don't have the technology today to do that. So how did that happen thousands of years ago?
That's
You
one
know,
of the
you
things
can go down. You can go down the conspiracy. So if you go by what they tell you, it had to be the pyramids were man-made. Stonehenge was man-made. The Mayan temples were man-made. Okay. So does that mean that society is getting dumber as we advance? Because we don't have the technology to do that stuff today. So are we getting dumber? Does that
you
mean
know,
that the people 10,000 years ago was smarter than us?
T-Bone, we did go through a dumb phase around the 11th, 12th, and 13th century. There was the dark period of time because the Romans had already invented the aqueduct and they had flowing waters and they had Roman baths and all that stuff. And several centuries later, they discovered a thing called a flushing toilet. But the Romans already had it many, many years, centuries ago. But we lost that
Right.
technology.
Exactly. Well, yeah, and so then the question is the technology. It was the technology on this planet at one time, and now it's missing, or
You
fill in
read
the blank here. That's
you read in a historical document called the Bible. I mean, I'm not going to get off on a tangent now, but in the Bible,
yeah.
for a person to wake a person up from the death and rise him up from the dead, or to cure and make the person see again, like as written in the
Yeah.
stories about the various miracles performed, and a man walking on water. Times were different
Mm-hmm.
back then. I got to think things were different.
Well,
I
things were different, and I think that I don't think that. And you talk about that, you bring up the Bible, and like you say, we don't want to wax philosophical and get all biblical, but there was another man who walked on water too. If you remember the story of when Jesus calmed the waters and he told Peter to get out of the boat, keep your eyes on me, and come to me.
Yeah, that's
Peter
right.
was walking on water until he looked down, and then he went under the water, and Jesus had to save him.
He had a doubtful
I
moment.
think that, yeah, he had one doubtful moment, and man, how many doubtful moments have we had since then?
Oh, yeah. Hey, Moto, I saw you pop in there, and I was going to wave at you there a while ago, buddy. But I've been
Hey, Ray.
yapping and yapping and yapping. And thank God T-Bone came
Ray
in.
Moto.
He did. It's good to see you guys.
Yeah, it's just
here.
Yeah, it's good to see. I know everybody's been busy with lives today and everything else. Been doing lives. Moto had a live.
Oh, we're going to have coffee with
Retired
Moto.
rider had a ride.
We're going to have coffee with Moto every day. Oh,
But yeah, I think they need to either just excuse the phrase, but you've heard it before. I think they need to shit or get off the pot. That's kind of what I think needs to happen.
yeah.
And luckily, there's a gentleman going to be coming on board January the 20th. I would say just about the time his inauguration happens, you'll probably see the drones disappear. Would be my guess.
Let's see. Well, they've been here through many different administrations. All these up in Washington State in the 1940s and the early 50s, there was all kinds of sightings. Literally thousands reported of UFO things, and people go, "Don't say things like that; they'll think you're crazy." So everybody had to suppress it. And the military in the 40s and 50s spent all of their whole budget trying to put down these stories. Oh, we don't want to hear about nothing. So it's been going on many administration from the time I've been born.
Oh, yeah.
All the cover up of all the stuff that's going on. We don't have, if we don't have an explanation for it, we begin to develop our own theory. And I'll start putting out my thoughts about the matter. And then somebody later they'll go, I heard a guy, he was telling me about this. Well, it's not gospel. Whatever I say, there's no basis to it. It's only what I read, so.
Yeah. So, well, yeah. And, you know, I think about that movie, and of course, it was a Hollywood movie. It was a big blockbuster, but I think there were some important points in the movie. You remember the movie Independence Day they did in the 90s, had Will Smith.
Yeah.
You know, I keep going back to when the president kept looking at Judd Hirsch's character saying there are no such thing as aliens. And then that one guy says that's not exactly true. And then the president says, "Look, I'm the president of the United States. Why don't I know about this?" And I keep remembering what that one guy said. It's a need to know basis, and you did not need to know. So, you know, you think about that, and of course, you can go down the rabbit hole and get into conspiracies, but is it really like that? That the president don't know what's going on because it ain't need to know information?
I have a good friend that was on the aircraft carrier Nimitz, and he spent all of his years in the Navy, 6 years on the aircraft carrier Nimitz. I only took two cruises on the Nimitz, and I went to more departments because we had the right to know, and they allowed us to go in
Yeah,
because we had the need to know. And he spent all that time, and he was never allowed to know.
right,
And he went to the same country. He was in the same country and was in the same military, but he didn't have the right to know, need to know, basically.
right, right.
Uh,
Yeah, well, and you know, I get it. I understand, and this is where people start drawing back a little bit when you're talking about stuff like this. We elect politicians, we hire military to control our best interest. We don't need to know everything. John Q. Public does not need to know every little thing. It's better to not know every little thing, I feel. As long as we're safe at night, as long as we're protected, I don't need to know if these are our drones flying around New Jersey, but I think somebody needs to say, hey, y'all just calm down. We know what's going on. You're safe. There's no threat. Go on about your lives. I think people would be like, okay, then they know what's going on, so we're not going to worry about it. But you keep coming out saying, well, we don't know. We don't have a clue. We're trying to
I,
get to the bottom of it. That's where people draw it.
in my opinion, with the way the internet and all that stuff is today, it's best not that we don't know certain things because we know a little bit. We'll start adding our version of it, and then it gets all blown out of shape. But
Yeah.
I think if our government came on the air right here on the screen, if Biden he got right there on the screen and said, "Don't worry, we got everything under control." Hell, you'd worry you wouldn't sleep that night. But you know, when they told the American Indians in the 1870s, "Don't worry, America's got you covered," and then they all died of anthrax. You know what I'm saying is,
Yeah. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
begin to
Every time
worry.
the government says, don't worry, we got it under control, a disaster happens.
Oh, you wouldn't sleep a wink. You
Oh,
go,
God. Well,
uh,
you know, our military, I feel, and you was in the military, you know more about the military than I'll ever know because I did not serve in the military. But just as a third person on the outside looking in, I think that the secret of military, there's a need for it to be secretive, and I think it should remain secretive unless it's something that's going to affect us personally and dramatically on a day to day. We don't need to know. We really don't need to know.
you know,
You know,
I
that's
think
like back in the 80s. That was like back in the 80s when they were doing the B 2 bomber, you know, the stealth bomber. It was built with technology to, you know, body panel designs to, you know, do away with being, it didn't have a radar footprint. And everybody was seeing triangular UFOs. And then later we come out that it was a B 2 bomber. We didn't need to know there was a B 2 bomber until it was already decommissioned. And then it was like, okay, well, we know what this was. This was our airplane. Well, okay, that makes perfectly good sense to me.
Look at that little flying bat wing, the F-1 or what 117 that went over into Iraq. They didn't even see it coming, and America didn't even know we
Right.
had it. Let me tell you a little story. I got down to Marietta, Georgia, at Dobbins Air Force Base. Old Jerry's in the loop. He knows everything. You know, he's in all these hot spots. All right, so I get down
Yeah.
there, and they sent me over to this building. While I was there, I heard an engine spooling up. I heard two engines spooling up. So I look out the door, and there's a spaceship sitting right there in front of me. Black, great big long black spaceship sitting there with these great big engines out on the wings. And I asked this crew chief, I said, "What is that?" He said, "That's the Blackbird." I go, "What the hell's a Blackbird?"
Yeah.
He said, "It's on a need to know basis." He said, "Come here, let me show you something." He came over to the door and he let me look through a door, and there was a trailer house sitting in the building, and two astronauts was being dressed up. Because that one that they had, the early model, had two seats in it, and they was testing upper atmosphere. And he said they leave out
Yeah.
here every night, and they'll go up there and do a Mach 1 takeoff and go straight up into the clouds. And they go to Cuba, and they're doing overflights of Cuba. The thing had never been released to the public. It didn't come out that was in 1968. It didn't come out to the public until 2 or 3 years later. But that thing had already been in operation, and it was built back in the 50s, developed and designed in the
Yeah.
50s. And yet, look, it
Yeah.
took me
And
18
then by
years
the
to.
time we heard about it, it was already out of date.
That's right. It was amazing.
Oh man.
It was one of those deals you couldn't ask any questions. And when
Yeah.
I watch the thing take off on the fuselage, back in the back, there's a big bell-shaped thing at the back. And every time I'd watch it take off, there would be like white-looking smoke coming out of that funnel-shaped thing at the very back. And so I met this pilot years later, and I asked him, I said, "What is that thing where that steam looking stuff is coming out the back?" He said, "You have these massive pumps that pumps this fuel. The fuel is an oxygenated fuel that contains its own oxygen. They can go above 80,000 feet." And he said, "What happens when the pressure gets real high? The condensation from the fuel cells are vapor, comes out of the back, spews it out so the
Yeah.
pressure can burn off in the back." I went, "Oh my God, I've been seeing it and I didn't even know what it was." I had all kinds of theories in my head what it was, but
Right.
it was nowhere near what I thought it was.
Yeah. Well, hey, retired rider has come in.
Hello, Mr.
We got
Retired.
sick retired rider. My Moto Bomb's still here. Ray's Moto Live.
Anybody want to join
But
in?
yeah,
No,
that
T-Bill's on the screen. I can
yeah,
have
come on
Tim.
in.
Let me post a link here. So for those that maybe would like to join in, if I can hit it here, we'd be happy to have you right up on this. Excuse me, right up on the screen.
So, Mac, what was the loft on the Blackbird? Now we're talking about the SR-71. What was
Yeah.
the loft? What was its ceiling? How high could it actually go?
When we was part of the project, it went up to 104,000 feet. But I found out later they went to 343,000 feet. That's 343,000 feet up. How many miles is that? 5,280 feet.
Well, yeah.
So you can see it went very, very high. But see, and behind
So-
the pilot, where the rear seat used to be, they put these great big old cylinders filled full of nitrogen to stabilize the burn. So when it went up, it was oxygenated fuel and stabilized by nitrogen so it could burn like a rocket engine when it got up above, like a ramjet. It could operate and had lots of horsepower and very fast up there. Oh, there we go.
I bet. Yeah, well.
All up in here. Oh, John's all up on the stage now.
There he is. Hey,
on,
so then over 300,000 feet, that's outer atmosphere, isn't it?
343,000. I think it's like 69 miles up or whatever. You can do the calculation. I don't have a calculator here, and I'm not good in math. So,
I can't remember exactly what it is before you go from the inner atmosphere to the outer atmosphere.
yeah.
So
I know right now you can pay $1 million and ride up to about 54 miles high, and that's what's the lower atmosphere. We got satellites that we go up there and drop out at about 100 miles up. That ain't very high, but they're little satellites, and they're designed to burn up in the atmosphere after a few loops around. We only use it for gathering information, data.
Right.
Let me bring the calculator up here and see what 300.
So what's going on with the political writers say today, huh?
Not much. Just hanging out.
Talk about a good conspiracy. Right, here we go. We got the conspiracy theorist in the house.
Hey, that's 64 miles. That's 64 miles up. That's that I know of. Now, we don't know if there's anything other than that, but I know that I saw the ceiling at 343,000 feet. And they interviewed the pilot that made the journey, the astronaut. At 64 miles up.
So you change your lingo from there. You say pilot until you get to certain feet, and then you go to astronaut.
Yeah, because you really literally have to have an environmental suit to be able to live at that altitude. Yeah. You have things in your blood that wants to come out through the pores, and if you don't have the right pressure suit, you would just literally blow up like a rotten tomato.
Yikes!
Because I remember we watched something about the Blackbird once they got to, and it's funny because the documentary that I watched, they never actually gave the cruising altitude. They would just say once it reached cruising altitude, it could go around the Earth. It was just like minutes. I mean, it wasn't like 7 or 8 hours to loop the Earth. They were talking minutes. It was just, they would go completely around the Earth in just a matter of minutes.
T-Bone, we developed a craft that we sent into space, and it stayed up there for 1 year, and then it flew back through the Earth's atmosphere and landed at Lancaster, California. It orbited Earth for 1 year. This thing flew at Mach 9. That was the speed at normal operational speed, Mach 9. That's 9 times the speed of sound. That's fast.
Wow.
But it can only do it once you get about miles up.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, that thing is now.
Because I remember, did you ever see the thing where they had showed a picture? And I can't remember where I watched it. It was a documentary on. I'm certain of that. But there was a smoke trail that went completely across the entire United States that had came from an aircraft. Did you ever see that?
We did a project called Skyfire, and our Skyfire, what happened to us when we was up, we was about 100 miles in elevation, and when they started making this slow descent through upper atmosphere, they began to dump out these same stuff that's on a videotape, the metal oxide, and it was in powder form. Mm-hmm. And when they started dumping it, they started at Labrador, and they dumped it all the way to Vancouver in one pass, just traveling 6 miles a second. So as it went across, it created an artificial aurora, and down in Ogden, Utah, we communicated off that Skyfire. We used it just like an aurora borealis. You can communicate on it. It's just like having a big satellite in the sky. It's a massive, but we created our own artificial called Skyfire. You can look up the project if it's released. I don't know. Skyfire was one of our neatest projects. What we was doing is trying to create an artificial area that we could communicate, extended communications. Let's say there was a nuclear attack. It's called EMPs, and it runs all of your radio land-based stuff. If you create the Skyfire, then you can beam into the Skyfire and then still have communications.
Right.
Makes any sense?
Yeah. Sick says that they're supposed to have a SR-72. Yeah, I heard something about. Hey, Sick, do me a favor. If you can actually look stuff up real quick, can you look up how exactly high it is before you hit the outer atmosphere of our planet? And maybe drop it in the comments for me. I've run out of devices to look stuff up on.
No, it's too early yet, honey.
I was gonna start this out, do the salad first.
Hmm?
I was gonna do.
Make the salad, yeah. My cook is already planning lunch for the salad.
Oh, goodness.
Yes, early.
God, I thought it was later.
You've been cooking all day. She's so happy to be back home in
That's
the
why she
kitchen.
thought it was supper time. Yeah.
Thank you, honey.
Well, it is supper time, according to some
You
people.
know, these drones, John, what's your hit on them? What do you think?
Well, I was just watching a report about it, and they're saying they're not drones at all. They're saying there's just normal traffic in the air. It's airplanes and things like that. That's what they're saying now.
Like the B2, we're seeing signatures. It gives us the assembly of a drone.
Yeah, they're saying it's planes. It's not drones. So I don't know, man.
Well, then,
They're saying what people are filming. They were showing the people that were filming at night, filming these drones. They said that's actually just normal traffic in the air. That's what they're saying. Now, whether that's true or not, who knows? But that's what they're saying.
yeah, that sounds like a cop out to me.
Yeah, sounds like a cop out to me too. That's what I said. I'm like, what? So all these people are just now noticing this traffic in the air that they didn't notice before. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
John, look how many pilots have lost their career because they had an opinion of what they saw out in space, and when they let it out in the public, their career was over with.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah.
America, the government does not want us to see. No matter which government it is, they just don't want us to see. We don't. They want. We're like mushrooms. Keep us in the dark.
Yep. Keep you in the dark. But what cracks me up is they're telling these people what they're seeing. You know, they're saying no, they're seeing drones. They hear them. They see them. But no, you're not seeing a drone. You're just seeing a plane. You're just seeing normal stuff. You're not seeing that. You know, you're not. That's not what you're seeing. That's belittling people, man. It's crazy.
Well, and that right there tells you what you need to know about what our government really thinks about us. Our government has went on record thinking that the American people's stupid and will believe anything that they tell us. They have said that on television.
Oh yeah,
they honestly believe that the American people are stupid and we will believe whatever they tell us.
They've been telling us that ever since I've been born, that we're stupid and you don't have no reason.
Yeah, we're the smart people. We're the smart people who can figure things out. You stupid little people out there just need to leave it to us and let us handle it. Well, the trouble is you're not handling it.
No.
Trouble is you're not handling it. That's the problem, is you're not handling it.
Hey, buddy.
That is the problem.
What's up?
Hey, sick.
I found a video. Hey, what's up? I found a video on the atmosphere, and it explains it. I didn't watch it, first of all. I should have probably watched it first, but do you want to watch it together?
Sure. Please put it on.
Yeah.
Okay, let me just double check what I am actually doing. What do I need? Definitely need a minute. Hold on. My first day. So history.
That's
okay.
You know, how do you go from news programs are featuring drones? Politicians are up at Capitol Hill talking about drones, and now all of a sudden they flip the script and say, "No, you're just seeing planes."
Yeah, that's what they were saying today.
I would be ashamed to even get. Yeah, I would be scared to even get on television and say that.
Yeah. But they'll convince people that's what they're seeing. They will. That's what they'll convince people of.
Yeah.
So here it is.
Yeah, you're right, Raymoto.
The layers of the atmosphere. Now, layers of the atmosphere are very important to us because the atmosphere is essential for life to exist on the planet. Now, the atmosphere today is very different from what it was like 2 billion years ago. There are a lot of noxious gases like sulfur and methane in the atmosphere, unlike today, which is mostly nitrogen.
It doesn't say anything about height.
Well, those gases basically came through the violent volcanic eruptions that occurred during the early years of our Earth. That process, called outgassing, basically released a tremendous amount of noxious gases into the atmosphere. You'll notice that oxygen was not a major part of that early atmosphere, very simply because there was not a large abundance of plants during that time. Now, our atmosphere today is very important to us because it's essential for life to exist. Without the atmosphere, there's no oxygen, there's no life on the planet. We know that our atmosphere is broken up into multiple layers, and we'll talk about the 4 basic layers of the atmosphere. And we'll also focus on the fact that temperature is an extremely important concept when going from
Do we
one layer
want
to
to watch
the next.
this?
And like I stated earlier,
Why do I feel like I'm sitting in elementary school?
Well, yeah, I know, but
Beautiful
with like
photograph
4
of the
layers.
today with the white
It's,
clouds.
I did,
before
as
the
I
stars
said, I
attention
didn't watch it.
on that layer where all the clouds are found. That's called the troposphere. We'll get to that in a second.
But
And as
the
we increase
There we
our
go.
altitude,
There's the layer.
increase our elevation
Yeah.
above the
Yeah.
Earth, we can
Yeah,
go
there we
to the
go.
next
Troposphere,
stratosphere,
stratosphere.
mesosphere.
Stratosphere.
Let's jump into the troposphere, talk a little bit about it. So with this layer, it's going to be a layer that we currently live in. It's where the majority of our water vapor is found. And with that being said, that's where the majority of our weather is going to be found as well within our troposphere. Because we live, for the most part, close to sea level, we're going to have the majority of the troposphere, all the stratosphere, all the mesosphere, and all the thermosphere pushing down on top of us. So we're going to have the greatest atmospheric pressure found within the troposphere. As you travel up through the troposphere, you're physically getting further away from the Earth, so temperature is going to decrease. And that's evident when you look at mountain ranges that are high enough. Many of them tend to be snow-capped even in the summertime. Next layer up is what we call the stratosphere. Stratosphere is going to be super important to us because it's going to house what's called the ozone layer. The ozone layer is a special part of the stratosphere that protects us from the ultraviolet radiation from the sun, which is currently shortwave radiation, which scientists believe causes high cases of skin cancer. Now, as you travel up through the stratosphere, temperature actually goes up. Even though you're getting further away from the Earth, it goes up because that ozone layer is absorbing a lot of the sun's energy, causing your temperature to go up. Now, here's a picture of the ozone layer, the thinning of the ozone layer. A lot of people call it a hole, but it's actually a thinning of the ozone layer over top of Antarctica.
Oh,
Now,
shit, it's not a hole no more.
CFCs,
It's not a
which are
hole.
Chlorofluorocarbons have attacked the ozone layer and have actually thinned it out over top of Antarctica. Since the banning of
It's just
CFCs,
thin.
the ozone
It's
layer
balling.
actually starts
It's losing its hair.
is actually thickening over top of Antarctica.
I thought it was gone. I thought the ozone
Next layer
was
up is
gone.
what we call the mesosphere.
Well, dude, I
The
mean,
mesosphere
when we were in school, that's all they talked about was the ozone layer was depleting. We are killing the ozone layer.
Dramatically.
Well,
The
they
hell is
finally
that?
got kill
Because
the
of the
outline,
layer
well,
above
all the
it, which is
aerosols that
called
depleted.
thermosphere, and we'll talk about the thermosphere. in
Yeah,
a second.
which is going to kill us because we would
This
have
is
the
pretty
ozone
much
layer.
where the layer where all your
Oh, yeah.
meteorites or your shooting stars are going to burn up as they enter our atmosphere. Now, the reason why the mesosphere is so cold is because the thermosphere is going to absorb a tremendous amount of the energy from the sun, gamma rays and X-rays specifically, those really nasty rays from the sun, really, really short wavelengths, really high frequency, very dangerous waves from the sun. They get absorbed by the thermosphere. So this tends to be some of the hottest temperatures in the atmosphere because your temperature is going to go up through the absorbing of these rays. And many times, if you
There we
have
go,
an
Aurora Borealis.
to see the northern lights
Yeah.
or the aurora borealis,
We
or
created
the
one.
Australis borealis in the southern hemisphere, the southern lights, what'll happen is those are going to be taking place in the thermosphere. So those are basically your 4 basic layers through the atmosphere. A couple characteristics. You want a little bit more information about them, please go to your reference table. Now, where one layer ends, the other one's going to begin, and it's all temperature dependent here. So where the troposphere ends and the stratosphere begins, that's what we call the tropopause. You get a very, very distinct boundary in temperature differences between the stratosphere and the troposphere there. So the boundary between those 2 layers is what we call the tropopause. Where the stratosphere ends and the mesosphere begins is what we call the stratopause. And where the mesosphere ends and the thermosphere begins, that's what we call the mesopause. Okay, so make sure you know the difference.
If there's a
between
pop
the
quiz
spheres,
after this, I'm going
which
to be
are the
pissed
layers
off.
of the atmosphere, and the pauses, which are the breaks.
Are we
Now,
done
when
with
one layer
this?
ends and the other begins.
Yeah, we're done with it.
Yeah, I think we are.
Yeah, I think we're
I
done with it.
I did not study.
Yeah, I did not.
I did not study for that.
You know, it told us everything about the damn layers except for how high they were. You know, and that's
Right.
what we wanted to know how goddamn high it was.
Thought I was in school.
Hey, Moto.
Hello, Ultra Rider.
Hey, Moto.
Oh man, that's
happy
funny
class.
right there.
We were having class about the stratosphere.
Back in high school.
Yeah, back in high school.
Oh yeah, but don't forget about the cow flatulence. You know, that was destroying the ozone.
Yep.
We had to do something
Oh
about
yeah,
them.
yeah.
You're up in Minnesota, you know, we had to do something about them farting cows in Minnesota.
What was it? You got no audio, Moto.
Okay.
No audio, Moto.
Okay, here we go. Hey, okay, the thermosphere, which they are saying is the outer last layer, is 53 miles high. It's 53 miles to the thermosphere. So anything past 53 miles, you're basically in space.
Well, that SR-71 went to 343,000, which is 64 miles. So he was
right there.
He was in space. Yeah, he was in space.
That's crazy.
Can you
Like,
imagine?
you gotta be real careful you don't go into space. Like, if you go into space, like, there's no coming back.
Yeah, you should have been sucked out and bye-bye according to the vacuum system.
Yeah, like, you need to stay in the atmosphere.
Like in a vacuum, yeah.
Right.
Well, they're maneuverable. You've got these little JADO pods. Even the shuttle had up in the nose. You can move it around while in space. They can maneuver the shuttle around by those little jets that's up in the nose, and they can turn it and move it up and down. Even though they was flying in orbit, they could still move themselves while in orbit from one place to another.
Yeah.
What are we going to do, Moto? We got 17 people in there watching. We got to be entertaining.
So T-Bone, how many miles did they say to the outermost atmosphere?
53 miles. That's to the thermosphere. 53 miles.
Is that the outermost one?
Yep, that's the outermost one. 53 miles is the outermost one. If you go past 53 miles, you're literally in space.
Yeah,
wow. Crazy. That's insane.
But I'll tell you, back in the 90s, I did something with marijuana called PCP. I swear to God, I walked on the moon.
I got a story for you, T-Bone. What are you going to tell your PCP story first, or am I going to tell my PCP, my only PCP story?
Well, that was my only PCP story. Is I literally thought I was on the moon.
And it's funny you said that because
fly me to the moon.
Exactly. So I'm coming home from a Dead show or something, or hanging out with my buddy John Tumblety, who was like a year or two older than me, and we decided that we were going to smoke a PCP joint in front of my house. And it tastes and smells like pine needles, from what I remember.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
So we did that, and then for like an hour to whatever, a half hour to 45 minutes, it took us to parallel park without any other cars in front of the house of my house. And then we proceeded to get out of the van, and the first words out of my mouth is, "Bro, I'm walking on the moon." I was like, I am on the moon right now, bro. Look at it. Slow motion. Watch. And we were, it was just, and that was the only time I ever did it, and I don't think I'll ever do it again. Thank God.
Media is covering up the trends the exact same way as the beginning.
But that's my PCP story.
Well,
and I was young.
I didn't decide I was going to do it. It was decided for me that I was going to do it when they just passed me a joint laced with it. But I literally felt like I was, everything was in slow motion. Everything was in slow motion.
Yep. It was like, and I remember it. It was called Crazy Eddie. That's what they called it.
I did psilocybin, and it made time stop for me.
Really? Yeah. I don't doubt that.
How does time stop?
You don't know how time stops?
Yeah. How do you stop time?
It's amazing.
In my mind, my time stopped in my mind, and I was frozen on a single word. I told you, sick about the word "the." I couldn't get the word "the" out, and I could see it in my head.
Yes, sir.
You can almost see the E, and I know the letter is E, but I couldn't say it.
That's funny.
Just for a moment, I come to a standstill.
Well, now, I'll tell you something right now. A LSD experience is totally different than a PCP experience.
Yes. By far. Night and day.
Well, we took our trip
LSD. I felt like I got hit with LSD again. It wasn't my choice to do it, but I felt like I could literally run all the way to Canada and back before the sun rose the next morning.
Oh boy,
man!
Yeah, they called the stuff we was doing. It was psilocybin mushrooms, but they called it cultured mushrooms. It was like a powdered dust form, and you snorted it like you would cocaine.
Oh my Lord!
Wow.
Yeah,
God.
that's serious.
6 hours, gone. Color, everything that you can imagine in a psychedelic world would occur in that 6 hours.
Wow. Dude.
I always
horrible ride. I've never been so afraid in my life.
I always had to remind
a 6 hour trip. God Almighty.
Oh, they're
I
longer
couldn't
than
imagine
that.
a 6 hour trip. Wow.
They're longer than that, T-Bone.
I was gone for 6 hours.
I've had trips that were like 12 hours, 15 hours. Like a half a day, bro. I mean,
there are those of us.
Commitment. You're talking about a 12.
There are those of us right now. There are those of us right now, Sick, who would argue that you're on a trip right now and we're just along for the ride.
Well, I mean, that's that, bro.
Then again, this whole thing could be a figment of my imagination.
That's right.
Right.
Where did Moto go?
I think Moto's like, you know what? He's like, Moto said, I've not done enough PCP for this.
I'm out of this trip. He's getting scared. He thought he was in the trip. He was tripping out.
Yeah, Moto says, I ain't high enough for this conversation. Let me get out of here.
I tell you, in my younger years, I really enjoyed experimenting with LSD. I mean, it really did. I mean, talk about opening your mind, literally. I mean, don't forget, you're damaging yourself as well, but you're also experimenting and opening different doors and different channels of your mind in very different ways, whether that's better or worse. I mean, I've had bad trips, but I've had good trips, and the good trips way outweigh the bad trips.
I've had good trips and I've had bad trips.
You know?
And some people
my microphone just died. I'll be back in a minute.
Some people think going to Walmart is a trip.
Well, yeah. You know.
I got this joint one time. I bought it off a buddy of mine, and he's usually dependable. And I smoked it, and then I got in the car and I was heading home. And I've never had this happen to me before. I was driving along just like normal, and I'm like, I'm good, you know, because I smoked a lot when I was young. And as I was driving, I would look down the road and see everything down there, like the next light or, you know, whatever. Just I would pick up an object, and it would seem like I could not reach that object that I was driving and driving.
Yeah.
And I could not get there. And all of a sudden it would go woof and just go right by me.
Oh,
and then that would just repeat itself all the way home. That shit freaked me out, man. And I'd be walking up the stairs. When I got home, I'm walking up the stairs. I kept walking.
Wow, these stairs aren't getting any shorter.
Yeah, I can't get up the stairs. All of a sudden, I was at the top of the stairs. It was crazy, man. So I called him up the next day, and I was like that all evening. I was like, what the hell was in that shit, man? Because I've never experienced that before. And he said, there was something in it. Trust me. That was crazy.
Was something there.
Yeah.
I tell you, you know, I remember there's a couple of major events while I was tripping that I remember very vividly. And one of them was being at a Dead show at the old Giant Stadium. The old Giant Stadium had these giant spiral ramps that went up all four corners of the stadium.
Yeah.
I remember I was tripping so hard. And I walked in, and what I didn't realize was there was a line of state troopers in uniform lined up at the entrance of every single ramp going up. And I don't know if that was just to show a police presence and behave yourself or what, but I'll never forget walking in and just being not mesmerized by them, but just stopping in my tracks and just starting to stare at everything. Like the ramps going up. And then I kind of started looking at these huge cops that were like enormous to me. They were like, a Jersey State troopers, you got to be like 6'2" or whatever, minimum height requirement. Right. And they were just big. And then finally somebody who I didn't even know put their arm around me and walked me in. I was like, oh, thank God. I was just stuck there, like frozen. I was frozen. Like I was tripping so hard and I couldn't continue walking. I was just watching everything. I'm like, this is wild. I'm like, check this shit out. And then finally somebody came over and just put their arm around me and just, come on now. Here we go. And into the show. I was like, wow.
That would be a wild trip just to take a trip through Six Head, just do a journey inside.
Yeah, that would would be a psychedelic trip right there.
That would be a real trip.
I remember tripping really hard on they had what these things called that were the grassy knolls outside on the bottom of Giant Stadium. And like during intermission, they would play drums in space or whatever. And you would come out, and I remember laying down on the grass, tripping, and I was like, oh, it's so beautiful. And I rubbed my arms up and down the grass, laying there, fucked up. But just enjoying it, listening to the music and the people there, and everyone's chilling and getting along. And it was crazy. It was a good time. Needless to say. Yeah.
That's funny.
More than one occasion at Giants.
What's great about it is not only you do the journey, but you're here alive today to convey that trip.
Yeah.
That journey,
Your mind is still intact. So.
And Well, that was the same show I jumped the wall, because the Giant Stadium wall from first level to the floor, that's a 15, 20-foot drop, bro. And I jumped it. I went down. I was like, they can't catch all of us. And I just what I did is I was scared shitless. I turned, I went over, and I'm like, wow, this is a big commitment. I looked over it first, and I'm like, wow. I was like, that's so far. And I'm tripping. Don't forget, I'm tripping. And I'm like, and then once, it was literally like water. Everyone started doing it. Everyone. And nobody was getting hurt. I'm like, well, if everybody else is doing it, nobody's breaking legs and stuff, I might as well just jump. And I did. I made it. I was like, woohoo! Went down to the floor, ran over to the stage, and I was like, hell yeah, here we go. And I think one of those times.
At least that's a good trip to be on. I mean, we had a buddy, and this goes back several years. We had a buddy. His wife called my dad in the middle of the night, 2:00 in the morning. And his name was David. And she said, literally, my dad answered the phone. He said, okay, hey, what's going on, Diane? She said, David just grabbed his M16 and he just took out the back door naked, and he's running through the woods. Whoa. He had got a hold of LSD somewhere.
Oh boy.
So he's got a fully set up M16. Okay, the cops are down there. We pull up. My dad said, if y'all go in there, he's going to kill every one of you.
Oh boy!
And my dad said that because the sheriff at the time said, "Well, what do we do?" He said, "Dude, he's in the woods. Just leave him alone and let him come down off of the high." Because the wife finally told. She said, "Look, he got LSD from somebody." She didn't say who, nothing like that. So they set up a perimeter, a 5-mile perimeter, and he stayed in the woods for like 2 days, just running naked without him. He never fired it, never shot it, nothing. But he thought he was in Cambodia or somewhere. He was deep into the jungle somewhere. And he was hiding from the gorillas that were coming after him. So
That's crazy, bro.
that was weird. That was weird.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah, that's not a good look.
But after he came down off of that, he lost his hearing. He went deaf. After he came down off of the trip, he went deaf. He couldn't hear nothing.
Really?
It's crazy, bro.
Wow.
Some people have adverse, reactions sometimes. Like, you don't know what you're getting. You need to get it from a reliable source.
Yeah, that's true. You don't, especially these days.
Yeah, well, yeah, and yeah, well, and this was like the very late 80s, just as the 90s was coming about. And David was a good guy, but he was getting into different types of drive. I mean, he was driving down the highway, 4-lane highway one day, and him and his wife was having some kind of argument, and he was on some kind of drug. He opened the door, reached over with his right foot, and kicked her out on the road going down the highway, running 55 miles per hour. Just kicked her out of the truck.
Whew. Mm.
Matt, can you put that picture up for a second?
What picture, buddy? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see it down there, man.
I love that one. That's one of my favorites.
I'm tripping balls.
I'm tripping balls. Going where the water tastes like wine.
Red.
Fantastic.
Oh my God.
How do I get rid of that now? There we go. All right. That's great.
Oh, man. Well, I think we pretty well much covered the gambit here. We went from drones over New Jersey to sick tripping out in Giant Stadium. I think we've covered the gambit.
There is no drones.
But yeah, the airplanes, that everyone's.
Airplanes. But somebody made a good point in here. They said
the airplanes over New Jersey.
That's how it started with COVID. Well, it's not in the United States. It's never going to come here. It's never going to be a big deal. The next thing you know, COVID's everywhere.
Yeah.
So now they're talking about there's some drones flying in California and other states too now. So I guess everybody's just seeing just seeing planes. We're just seeing planes now. That's it.
Yeah, but how do they not see the writing on the wall? Like, there's drone warfare happening in Ukraine, okay? Who's to say that somebody's not going to get a hold of something and drop it on somewhere? There's plenty of that can make. There's plenty of chemists that can make flammable materials and whatever else, bomb-making materials or whatever, and they can drop it on shit you don't want it dropped on.
Yeah,
I mean, they're talking about 15.
Well, and
drones. Those are drones the size of a small Volkswagen.
Yeah, well, look, you're taking something as big as a car. You don't have to drop anything from it. All you have to do is get lined up with whatever your target is and just fly it into it.
Yeah.
Bam.
Yeah.
Yep. That's it.
Yep.
That's all you gotta do.
They were saying that there were rumors that they were having drones pick up.
He was talking about that.
Yeah, pick up people underneath their arms, lifting them to a fatal height and dropping them out of the sky. No bullet wounds, no ballistics, no weapon, nothing. Just pick them up, bring them up into the sky, 200 feet, 300 feet, and drop them.
The only problem that I have with that is you're going to hear that drone coming at you. Ain't you going to run like hell?
Not if you have underarm straps or something, or some way to grab the person. I mean, hey, chase them down. grab them under
Like
the
War of
arm.
the Worlds when they had those big claws come out and grab people and put them in the.
You know, why not?
Hey, it's
Crazy
possible.
shit.
I don't.
There's
I
all
don't-
kinds of shit we have no idea. They're probably at least 100 years into the future by now, at this point of the stage.
Oh, I wouldn't doubt it. Yeah.
You know,
Stuff we
they're
don't know about yet.
75 years into the future with all the technology and reverse
Well, I'm telling you
engineering.
right now, if I hear a humming behind me, whatever is behind me humming better be immune to 45 slugs. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
Now, wouldn't that be something? But think
If I
about this. Think about this, T-Bone. You made the decision. You hear the hum, and you start shooting, and it falls to the ground. And just think about this for a moment. This is the way Jesus had decided he wanted to come back to earth, and he wanted to come back more modern, you know. And you think he's going to come back on a great white horse or something like. And you done killed him. He's laid up there in the hills of where you just shot him down with a 45.
Well, you know what? When I get to the pearly gates, I'm going to look at St. Peter. When I get to the pearly gates, I'm going to look at St. Peter. And if he says you just shot Jesus, I'm going to say, well, you got the footage. You saw what happened.
Yeah, you got the footage.
Don't sneak up on me.
Don't sneak
You
up
saw
on
what
me.
happened. He snuck up on me. Yeah, I'm paranoid. Don't sneak up on me.
I
I'm
would,
going to leave you leaking.
I would say to God, I'm pleading insanity.
Yeah, I'm pleading insanity.
Yeah, you should have had an air horn or a trumpet, because
Yeah.
you know what? If I hear Gabriel's trumpet and then I hear a hum, I'm good.
Yeah.
If Gabriel's trumpet blows and then there's a humming, yeah. But I'm telling you right now, if the trumpet is busy that day, he better have an air horn or something.
Oh,
That's all.
This is a version of Mad Magazine that we're seeing live right here on Old Max channel.
Exactly. No doubt.
Oh God. Oh man.
It's in the news. And all we're doing is dealing with the news.
That's listen. That's going to be my reasoning for everything. Yeah, when I get to the pearly gates, that's going to be my only line of defense. You saw what happened. You make your own decision.
Yeah.
I'm going to look at St. Peter and I'm going to say, well, you saw what happened, so you have to decide what's going to happen next.
I'm here to be judged, not judged.
Yeah. Ultra Rider said, Ultra Rider said, Mac, have you been hitting 6 stash?
Yeah, exactly. That's
Oh
funny.
man, that's funny. That's
Something
good stuff
very
right there.
wrong with us.
Who could you believe?
No, I mean,
Well,
it's a serious thing about those.
we are a
drugs, though.
creation. We're a creation of our government. Our government has created us and made us this way.
Yep.
You're right.
And tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah. You're right.
You're a product of your environment.
You're right.
Yep. So it ain't our fault. It's the government's fault.
Heck yeah.
And St. Peter will just have to decide what happens after that.
Yeah,
You don't
man.
really just ask any American Indian.
Yeah, if you trust your government, if you don't believe me, just go ask the Native Americans. They'll tell you.
As long as all my old dogs start running towards me, I don't give a shit. As long.
Oh, dude, I made that my. Listen, I made my mind up about that years ago. If my dog trusts you, I got no problem with you. If my dog growls at you, you're liable to get shot.
Oh yeah. I agree with that. Yeah.
Hey, Buck Brown.
Dogs know. Dogs know. Hey, Buck. Dogs know. Yeah. Feel like it's Sunday night.
Yeah. If my dog trusts you, you're good with me. If my dog don't trust you, you better watch out.
You got a problem, yeah.
There's an issue. There's going to be an issue.
Yeah. Yeah, there's going to be an issue. If my dog starts growling, shit's about to go sideways real quick.
Hey, that's a good question right there. I know it's going to be off the wall a little bit, but do you think dogs can sense evil in somebody?
Can dogs do what?
Sense evil in somebody?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
They can sense that off vibration. They can sense that off kilter.
Yes.
This person ain't exactly right. This person has not nice intent, or is what you can call it evil. You could call it a not favorable intent, a sick feeling. You could call it whatever you want.
Yeah.
The dog's intuition.
That's what I was going to say, Sick, is I was going to say that I think dogs can actually sense what your intent is.
Yeah.
I think they can sense what your intentions are.
Or if you're just inherently bad, they can sense that you're just inherently bad. There's something not right about you.
Yeah. You give off a vibe, and you can feel it just as a human being. If you get around a certain person, you can, just in a few seconds, you get a vibe off of that person, and you're like, okay, this person's not, something's wrong here. So, yeah.
Something's not right. Yeah.
I was going to ask Buck Brown a question. When you're riding your Indian and it gets onto that drone, does it go?
Good night. Oh shit.
Come back, John.
Is it a Indian or is it a la 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 Indian?
Oh shit.
Oh,
well, the bigger question is when you let off of the throttle, does it say, "Oh man, that was nice," or does it say, "Thank you very much"?
Thank you very much.
Thank you for calling, my friend.
That's
Buck, you got to get on here and defend yourself, man. Oh, man.
Yeah, you going to do something about that, Buck? Mike done called you out, and we just went along with it.
None. Yeah, we did. I just went along with it because it's his vibe. I just went along with it. I was being a good soldier.
Oh God. Yeah, I was being a good soldier too. I was following directions.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, here it is.
Buck's gonna have a rebuttal.
No, that goes.
Oh boy! Oh wow! Oh, something else.
Oh man!
I tell you, he's quick.
Well,
he's quick, man.
He is quick,
Buck. He was
quick.
Oh man, I've been cut.
He was just sparring with you, Buck. You didn't have to pull the gloves off. He was just sparring a little bit. I mean, you didn't have to go full Mike Tyson on him.
Me.
Oh God.
That was brutal, man.
How's your ribs, Mac? You okay?
I'm all right, buddy.
Your ribs all right?
I think I'm gonna be all right.
All right.
Did he bite your ear? Did he bite your ear?
Yeah, as long as he didn't bite your ear, you're good.
How long was that? How long was it? Was it sitting there for about a month? You said that.
Yeah, about a month. When we came back, it was in the 20s, 29 degrees, I believe it was. And I didn't think when I hit the pump and it didn't respond.
I seen that. Yeah.
And then the motor did that. I go, well, it's time to put the old charger on.
It almost went though. I heard it almost
one time.
Yeah.
And I was pulling for you. I'm like, come on, man. I had this.
Oh yeah, I was too. Because I was thinking in my head, Buck's watching live, and we're gonna hear about this.
It's alive.
Buck's watching
I love
it. My fat boy, not so much with the Road King, but if my fat boy does more than 2 revolutions and it don't crank, you just might as well get the battery charger out.
Yeah.
I love it when you can hear Buck when he passes by. It's curry chicken.
Oh man.
Oh God.
That's trouble.
Well, hey, at least he didn't say.
Worried about the drones.
At least he didn't say I'm gay.
I thought about yesterday when the wordage to it. I was going to say, now this is one of them days I wish I had a Honda, because a Honda probably would have started.
Yeah.
I tend to agree with that. Yeah, I tend to agree with that.
Yeah. People talk trash on Hondas, but I'm going to be honest with you. I grew up riding Hondas, and I never had any issues. I love my Hondas.
So did I. Yeah.
I'm actually looking. I'm looking for a 754 right now.
Are you?
I must say.
Yeah, I'd like the 74, 75.
Buck's bike is fast, bro. That thing sounds like it rips. And I didn't ride it, but it's a sharp looking bike.
Well, a lot of things could sound.
Yeah,
like
if you cruise down,
I've seen it though. I've seen it.
If you cruise down through my videos,
they all come with higher horsepower too, stock, like almost double. I mean, it had to.
Oh God! Yeah. If you cruise my videos, you'll actually find me riding an Indian Scout. I actually test rode one. And honesty, those things have got the. No, they got the dude. I fell in love with that Indian Challenger. When that Indian Challenger first came out in 2020, I fell in love with that Indian Challenger as soon as I saw it.
Yeah.
I didn't fall in love with the price, but I fell in love with the bike.
I never fall in love with the price.
The price is horrendous, especially for a Harley. I mean, it's anything. It's just anything. I looked at the Goldwings. I'm going to tell you the truth. I looked at the Goldwings before I bought the Harley, before I bought the Road Glide. I looked into the Goldwings, the new ones. I looked into them. I mean, they're not that cheap either, but they're nice bikes. They're nice bikes. No. And the wife said, well, you're going to have to change your name. Your channel's going to die.
Yeah, well, I went to Indian's website. And I started with the $24,000 base model Indian Challenger. And now this was back in 2020. By the time I was done putting everything I wanted on it, I was just about $58,000 in debt.
Hey,
I just X'd out of the program and left.
Lord. And that's why I didn't get a trike right now, because I'd be upwards of, you're into $40,000s up to $45,000 just for a tri-glide.
Oh yeah,
it's ridiculous.
Bro,
some places $50,000 to $60,000.
When you told me how much those things were, I was like, "Holy crap!"
Yeah,
but
those are
crazy.
The tri-glide comes with a cigarette lighter.
Nice.
It does, but now almost everybody uses a cigarette lighter for the USB connector.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I think there's one on the Glide. Yeah, it sits right off to the left side. There's a little
on the left side, down under the
Yeah.
And if you took a cigarette lighter and plugged it in and pushed it in, it would work.
Oh yeah, it's real.
Yeah,
the element. And
yeah.
I can hook it in the right mind.
Well, that's what them weekend. Yeah, well, that's what them weekend warriors use to light their cigars with when they're riding to the bar on Saturday with all their buddies. They got to get that. They're riding through this world all alone.
Weekend warriors.
They gotta be able to light them cigars.
Matt Laidlaw came out with a great new video about the death of the Dyna. If you guys want to go check it out, it's on my community page, or it's on Matt Laidlaw's community page, Matt Laidlaw's page. It's an awesome video. He did a good job on it about the death of the Dyna, the day the Dyna died.
I bet it coincided with Sons of Anarchy.
Well, there was at the end. Like, remember when what's his name? Ghost rides into the truck.
Yeah.
At the end or whatever. But
he didn't. Yeah, he didn't do that on a Dyna though. He did that on a FLH.
Yeah, who cares? They made it look like it was a Dyna. The editing and everything else was like whatever, you know what I mean? They have to add the drama in there. I was like, that's pretty cool, I guess. I was like, whatever.
Sick, you are the perfect Democrat. You will not let the truth get in the way of a good story.
Hey, man, a good story is a good story, bro. I'm all about a good story.
Yeah, who cares?
I think I made an observation. When we was in the middle of our drug journey, we peaked out at 27. As soon as we got into the motorcycle, we're down to 18. I mean, drugs is a selling topic.
Yeah, we should have stayed on it. We should have stayed on the trip side.
Now we're talking about Indians and Harleys, because we haven't mentioned their brands yet. Somebody out there is going to be offended because we didn't mention Yamaha or
Kawasaki, Yamaha, Suzuki.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go. They're all there.
Oh God.
Yeah. We dropped.
Yeah, well, they're probably out trying to find enough. They're probably trying to find enough drugs to catch up with us.
Somebody took our board game and threw the board against the wall.
Yeah.
Poor
crazy.
Moto. They were so much going on when Moto was in here that he got up and wandered off, and he has not been able to find his way back to the stage.
Can't find my way back home.
He'd be working.
Oh God. It's funny that you say that, because the first time I ever heard Joe Biden speak, I realized about 5 minutes I didn't have enough breadcrumbs to get back home.
Oh boy.
Oh boy. Ray Gregory, everybody have a wonderful day. I'm having a great lunch. Catch up with you all later.
Hey,
oh yeah, you have the live tonight.
Where are y'all seeing comments at? I haven't seen a comment. The last comment I seen was from Ultra Rider that said, "Mac, you have done hit 6 stash."
Refresh your page.
Who else is broadcasting?
T-Bone,
You got it. It's going to my channels, both my channels.
Oh, okay.
And going through Political Writer and Retired Writer.
Gotcha.
Okay.
I mean, as long as Mac don't mind, you don't mind.
Hey,
Mac, I
I appreciate it. Okay. It gives us the opportunity to bring more people in to share the experience.
Yes, sir. Yep. The experience of tripping.
We need to hand them little baggies. Yeah, we need to hand them the little baggies as they walk through the door.
Yeah.
Here's
might
what
want to go ahead and do this before you even go in.
Here's the modern day baggie for me. Peanut brittle.
Ooh.
Oh, that would kill me, literally.
With
I would have a hard time with that. That's
yeah.
bro. The peanuts are fine. It's just the brittle that's not fine.
Praise Moto. Moto doesn't seem like he gets into these crazy conversations. Yeah, I don't think Motobomb likes the rabbit holes or the political
Crazy
or anything.
I love the crazy convos.
I know you do. I can get you on here. I could get you on here all day, Sick, and we would just go crazy all day.
Oh, absolutely. We would go ape shit.
Dude, you know what? It just dawned on me who Sick Bastard is in our community.
He is the guy.
He is the Mad Hatter from Alice in Wonderland.
No, he's the
Mad Hatter from Alice in Wonderland.
He's that caveman,
bro.
He's the caveman from Progressive Insurance.
Hey, yeah, that's a good one.
That's it. That's it.
You got to sew up now. You got to sew up now.
Oh my God, that's all I'm going to see from now on. That's how I'm going to see you, Sick.
Yeah, you're going to be a damn caveman from now on. I was thinking Mad Hatter from Alice in Wonderland.
Mad Hatter. I'll take Mad Hatter. Johnny Depp.
Do you know why a crow is like a writing desk? I never did get the answer for that.
No.
I'm late for a very important date. That is, I mean, Buck says I'm
420.
Is it 420 yet? Is it? No.
No.
Like, damn.
You just went right on through that trip, didn't you?
I was like, is it 420 already? I was like,
Sick was like, hell, my alarm didn't even go off.
I know. I think my alarm didn't go off at 4:19.
That's crazy.
Oh my
I just
God.
lost a bunch of time, man.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
You know,
Are you
I wonder
serious,
if it was
Homer?
420 when Alice went down that rabbit hole.
and I can't find my
Oh, God.
way home.
It's 420 somewhere, ain't it, Sick?
Yeah, it's 420 somewhere.
Uh-oh.
Oh, God.
Money on that one.
Good
Now
Lord.
it's 420 at my house. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Now this is the time we play the Outer Limits music, you know. Do, 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 do. We have a gentleman here fixing to take a trip.
Oh, God.
Yeah. He's taking the trip, all right.
A different time. Oh, my God.
Oh, God.
Oh, my God.
That's got to be your theme music, Sick. That's got to be your theme music.
Yeah.
We gotta get that. What was that tune you guys? Oh, y'all was doing Alex Trebek the other day. Y'all was doing the game show tune, you know.
Do, 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 do. What is that? Or is that Skippery, right?
Warwick Davis. Oh, my God. Ray's Moto Life just hit it on the head. Warwick Davis.
Warwick
Sick
Davis.
Bastard is
Yeah.
our version of Warwick Davis.
Willow the Little Person in the 80s. Ay, vey.
Dude,
Who's
Warwick
Warwick
Davis was in a ton of movies.
I don't even know who that is.
Did you ever watch the horror movies Leprechaun? Did you ever watch the
Yeah.
horror movies Leprechaun?
Yeah.
Hey, that's Warwick Davis. He played the Leprechaun.
Oh,
Leprechaun.
Gotcha.
And then I think he was in some of those like Lord of the Ring movies. He was in a couple of those.
Looks
He's
just
been
like
in a ton of movies. Warwick Davis has.
Looks just like me. Except
Warwick Davis.
I'm prettier.
That guy right
Well, his hair's brushed. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
him. Yeah,
Yeah.
Warwick Davis. Yeah. Except he's not like Sick. He brushes his hair.
I brush my hair. This is brushed.
No, it's not an insult. We never insult anybody on here. Nothing's an insult.
Oh,
It's all
No.
fun.
If
I
you
may
take
have
this
to be
stuff
fixed.
seriously,
Yeah.
listen,
I mean,
gotta be
here's
thick-skinned.
what Sick had to learn about me and Mo. But Sick had to learn this about me and John. As soon as we realize there's something that we can poke Sick with,
Oh shit!
we're going to poke it.
And like every time you guys get me, and then I'm like, oh, they're fucking with me. I was like, they're fucking with me again. Couple minutes to go by, like, oh, they're fucking with me again. I'm like, oh yeah, they're fucking with me again. God damn it! Every time I fall for it. Every time. I'm like, why do they keep doing that?
Where's your burrito? Where is your
Well,
burrito?
that's why we do it.
I know.
Hey, Sick, where's your burrito?
My burrito, she's here. She's out cold, bro.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, she's out.
Oh, yeah.
My dog
Oh,
laid
yeah.
up in bed the same way, out like a light.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
done got contact high.
I'm trying not to let her go out and lay in the sand as much because I feel like she brings chiggers in the house sometimes.
Sand mites.
Oh,
Sand
yeah.
mites.
Something like
Sand
that.
mites,
And then
yeah.
I'm wondering why my calves are all eaten up. And I'm like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
And I thought it was the laundry detergent.
Hey, now, Sick, you did say chigger with a C, right?
Yes, I did. With the C. Damn it. Shit.
I'm not touching that. I'm not touching that. I'm not touching that.
I'm sorry. I went.
Oh, my God.
I'm not touching that. I'm a mayor of Cincinnati. I can't touch that.
The mayor of Cincinnati will not touch that.
I will not go near that. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
I will not
All
touch
they said
that.
is small
Oh.
insects that are dragged in by the dog.
Look, small insects. Yes, sir.
Well, we got to keep an eye on Mac. Mac was a kid
Yeah.
during segregation. We got to keep an eye on Mac.
Yeah.
You know, I was born. Let me tell you a little story. No, I don't think John's. He don't have no age on him either. Well, I was born when that was. You know, and I went away and was gone for 40 years. I come back.
Oh my
I was
god.
born here.
Oh
now.
my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were born in Alabama at the time when you had to eat in separate restaurants and drink out of separate water faucets, and
I was here before Rosa
crazy.
Parks. I was here before Rosa Parks.
yeah,
That's amazing.
yeah.
How old
Yeah.
are you? How old are you, old Mac? How old are you?
84, be 85 in June.
My
I
dad
love
is 85. My dad remembers a lot of that stuff. Yeah.
Oh, sure. No matter what part of America
Yeah.
he was in, affected, or you know.
Yeah.
I
He
love
remembers the
Yeah.
riots and all that. He remembers all that. He talks about that. Yeah.
the
Hey,
Kennedy.
but
Yeah,
hey,
boy. Yeah,
I'm
you gotta
not
watch
I'm
out.
not a racist. I'm not a racist. I'm not a racist against anybody. I just want that to
Yeah,
be known.
no.
I hate everyone
Yeah,
equally.
you know what?
Yeah, we know that, Sick. And you're
Okay. I hate everybody the same. I just hate everybody equally. I don't discriminate. You know, I just hate everybody the same.
Look, Six's favorite person is the next one with the joint. Let's just be honest here. Chinese, Japanese, Mexican, black, white, he don't care. As long as they got a joint, they're his favorite person.
Pass it to the left. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah.
Whenever
Oh,
you circle, always stand to the left of the person with the joint.
Always stand to the left.
Always stand to the left with the guy
Oh,
with
God.
No, there's no racism here.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm just here's my thoughts on, and I have touched on this a little bit on my channel before. I feel like if we, when we get to heaven isn't going to be segregated. I got a feeling if we make it to heaven, we're just going to be God's people. So why can't we be that way here?
Exactly.
We're just God's people.
Exactly.
It doesn't
We're
make
all-
sense to hate on
Doesn't
any.
matter what you are.
You know,
Yeah,
and
we're all God's people.
You remember the guy that we love, and he went by the name of Jesus, not the Mexican version, but Jesus. And he lived in a land where all around him there was no Christians because it had not got started yet. And he was around all of these people, and he had his hands out, and never did he ever cut a head off or did he ever attack anybody. He loved everybody around him. He healed the sick, regardless of what you, if he was Muslim, Indian, or whatever was in that period of time.
Didn't matter.
He did not go, wait a minute, you're not our people.
Yeah.
Well, I think we could take.
Yeah, that blonde hair, blue eyed Jesus was something else.
Oh, he was. I mean, he was the only one we had. And now they got that Spanish version.
He wasn't blonde hair, blue eyes.
That's outstanding, bro.
Oh God, that blonde hair, blue eyed Jesus was the bomb.
Those pictures are so. Oh my Lord.
That's funny.
He was dark skinned with dark eyes.
I don't want
Well, he was. Yeah, I mean,
political and stuff, but I feel like we were talking about everyone getting along and like non-racist and all this other stuff, and I feel like the stuff that's occurring in the Middle East right now is the direction that the rest of the world needs to follow. Getting along with everyone, like imagine Iran or the Syrian governments took all that wasted money on weapons and military and everything else and spent it on infrastructure, hospitals, roads, housing, and all that other stuff that these countries desperately need. All these groups over there are dropping like flies because the people are so sick and tired of the violence and the repression and everything else. They just want to get along with everyone. The women over there don't want to be repressed. It's just, and the Russians are fleeing. Next thing you know, Russia's going to have a revolution.
Yeah,
I guarantee.
It's over.
Well, and I think too, you're seeing that starting to happen here just with this last election. People are getting tired of being told, "Hey, you're wrong for believing in God. You're wrong for believing in this. You're wrong for being patriotic." People are tired of having that crap shoved down their throat. So I think you're starting to see a little bit of backlash.
Yeah, we're starting to see.
And this election proved it. This election proved it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And let me just say this: it wasn't just about Trump. That's not what it was about. It wasn't just about.
No.
It was about that people were just knew that they could use him. He's a vessel. It's for the people to say, "All right, enough is enough. We're done."
Yeah, and you know something?
Yeah, he's an ideal.
Yeah.
I mean,
Trump is an ideal.
Why if something's broken, why would you keep it? If something's not working, if you have a flat tire,
throw it
out.
out.
It's only flat on the bottom, but for real, bro.
Yeah, you throw it out if it's broke, right?
Well, I think one of the biggest strides that this country could make right now, I think one of the biggest strides we could make in this country right now is to term limit Congress and the Senate.
Boy,
if we only allow a president 8 years,
they'll never vote themselves out of office.
Well,
that's right, Sick. You're right.
No, but that's where it needs to be turned back over to the people. Eventually, something's going to happen. And it ain't going to be called an insurrection. It's going to be called a people taking back over their country is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
People are getting tired of being hungry. They're tired of not having money to do things. They're tired of being told they're wrong for believing in God. That you're wrong for being a patriot. You have to believe in they, them, and thou. You have to accept if a person wants to call himself a kitty cat, you have to accept that. No, we don't have to play in your delusion.
No.
And people are getting tired of it.
Play in your sandbox. Yeah.
Let me tell you something.
We don't, just because you're delusional, don't mean we have to agree with it.
Yeah. All I'm going to say is the pelvis is a gender specific bone.
Yeah,
that's all I got to say.
Well, yeah. I mean, come on. Yeah. I mean,
And
I think this election is a step in the right direction because I think we probably won't see it in our lifetime where Congress gives itself limits on how long they can be there. But I think eventually that will come around because you'll get rid of the old guard, you'll get rid of the rhinos, and if you keep talking about this, the young guard will eventually accept it and realize they have to make changes. Because you can't allow people to be in the Senate and the Congress for 50 years. You can't allow that to happen.
Yeah.
You can't allow that to happen.
So this is a message. This is a message. If you are 50 years in the future and you're watching this now, figure out how to term limit Congress and the Senate and you will fix your country.
Yeah.
New ideals, younger people coming in with new ideals. If you're watching this in the future.
Let me ask you this, though. You had to have an age where they could be accepted in Congress because you got to have some kind of life experience. You can't just go in there.
35.
Can't go in there.
35.
35. I'm saying 35, 40. You had to have some kind of life experience to be able to work in the Senate. Or
go from 35. You can't be 35 to 65.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. We're on the same page then.
35 to 65. Yeah. 35 to 65.
Yeah.
And what are the terms? 10 years? 5 years? What is it?
10 years. 10 years. 10
well,
years.
you do two 4-year terms. If 8 years is good enough for the president, 8 years should be good enough for everybody. If you're not going to get what you want to get done in 8 years.
Yeah.
I think it is. If you think about this, in 8 years' time, we only trust a president for 8 years. 2 terms.
Yeah.
A total, yeah.
Look at what a president can get done. Look at what a president can get done. Look what Trump got done in 4 years his first time.
And without
so
Congress
if you're really about our country,
Yeah.
Exactly. So if you are really a politician and you're elected by the people and you are doing what is right for your country, then you should be able to do something in 4 years. The problem is we're backed up against all these problems, and everybody wants to blame the current administration, and the people blaming the current administration have been in office for 50 years, 60 years.
Yeah.
Look at Maxine Waters. Look at Joe Biden. Joe Biden has been a politician for 55 years, but yet all of a sudden now we got problems. They've been the problem for 50 years.
I have a question. So a president is limited to 8 years. Is that only the case if they're voted in back to back, or is that no matter what? Like let's
no matter what.
No matter what. No matter what.
That has nothing.
No matter what.
Okay, no matter.
And I don't think that's right. I don't think that's right. And people are going to disagree with me on this, but I believe if you should be able to run every 4 years, and if the people want you, they'll keep you in there. If they don't, they'll put somebody else in there. I don't think there should be term limits on the president.
I agree with that 100%. Yes. Especially if you've got a president who's doing what he needs to be doing for the country. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I agree with that 100%.
Let the people decide.
Absolutely.
Like a dictatorship.
No, but if you still have an election and you still have somebody that's running against him.
Yeah, if you're if he's doing a good enough job and he's getting voted in every 4 years and he keeps winning the elections, let him keep going. We do it in sheriff's department. You turn your county commissioner. If you turn your county commissioner is not got a term limit. Your county commissioner can be a county commissioner for 50 years. Your sheriff can be a sheriff for 50 years.
But we
so if they keep getting elected, then that means they're doing something right. So
well, we're kind of contradicted ourselves because we said term limits in the House and the Senate, but we sort of contradicted ourselves there a little bit. But I don't know.
But you got to look at what the Congress and the Senate. Those are the people. Those are the lawmakers and the shakers and movers.
Yeah, that's true.
The moment that they are not acting in the best interest of the country, that should be it.
Vote them out. Yeah.
Vote them out. See, that's the problem. See, that's the problem, John, is we can vote out the president, but we can't vote out the Senate and the Congress.
Yeah, that's bullshit.
Once they're there, they're there.
We have midterm.
You can vote out your Congress. Yeah.
But you can't, it's hard because they have big money backing them up. That's the problem.
That's
big money backs them up.
That's bullshit.
Oh yeah, well that's where your lobbyists and all that comes in. Your big interest and your lobbyists come in. That's where they are.
Yeah.
We have a senator in Alabama.
And they all.
If it wasn't a sin for God, I would eliminate him from this world. He was fired by Donald Trump because he's a low-life piece of shit. And he made $37 million while that low-life piece of shit was up there as a senator. You know who we talking about? Jeff Sessions, that low-life piece of shit. Donald Trump. And he's down here and wallowing in his $37 million. How does a senator make $37 million at his income?
Yeah. Should not have to. Should not have that money. They should not be allowed to do insider trading. They should not be allowed to do all that shit. They take advantage of all that stuff. That it's illegal for them to do it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And the American people's got to say enough's enough. The American people's got to say we're done with this bullshit. We got to take back this country and to get these people to. I mean, it's got to be done. And I believe eventually it's heading that way. It's heading in that direction.
Well, you know what? It was put on display one time. If y'all can remember back, did anybody remember back? If you can remember back this far, when Trump started in his first term, he started appointing his picks for Supreme Court and stuff, and he what was that guy's name? His name just left my mind.
Kavanaugh.
Brett Kavanaugh. Yes.
Kavanaugh. Yeah.
Okay. Flake. That Flake. That guy. You know who I'm talking about. He was in California. His name was Jeff Flake or something like that. He went to the back and they changed his vote, and then he came back out and voted the second way.
Oh shit!
I mean, that happened live on television. Because I can remember making a post about it on Facebook. I said the people in it was Arizona. I said the people in Arizona better be very suspicious of what this guy's doing behind the scenes, because they went into a short recess. They took him to the back. The Democrats talked to him. He came back out and he voted against Kavanaugh, and he was a Republican.
Yeah.
So,
he got in, so thank God he got in. But that's what they don't like about Trump being elected this time, because he might be able to appoint two more Supreme Court justices. Imagine that.
Yeah.
Imagine that,
dude.
How that would change.
Here's the thing. We are set up now to change this country fundamentally. We have control of the Senate. We have control of the House. We have control of the White House. Yeah. Your Republicans are about to prove their mettle right now.
Well, are they?
Will they stand with their president?
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Think about all the think about all the stuff that Trump's wanting to get done. The Republicans are about to show their true hand. If they block him and don't vote with him for the next 4 years, if you go into another voting booth and you vote either Democrat or Republican, there's something wrong. Something wrong with you.
There's something wrong. Yeah, definitely.
So
I agree with
this is their opportunity. This is their opportunity to look at the American people and say, hey, we are about helping our country. So the Republican Party better be very careful in the next 4 years as to what they do with Trump in office. Because now the American people are watching and they're paying attention to what's happening.
Well, not only
we're watching every little thing.
Not only is American people watching, but I don't know how religious anybody is out there, and everybody's got the right to their own opinions and how they feel, whatever. But I think this whole election and this whole thing that's going on right now is God saying either you wake up or you're going to pay the price.
Yeah.
Either you pick evil or you pick good. Yeah. This is where we stand right now, and that's what he's saying.
So tired.
If you think Trump just accidentally turned his head and missed that bullet, no, that didn't happen. His head got turned for him.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and it's not only that, but you're looking at a situation now where our country, and I know Mac's going to know what I'm talking about because he probably heard it when he was a kid. Them old backwoods Baptist preachers used to preach about Babylon and America. I remember one of the old preachers said, if you put a mirror up to Babylon, America is the modern day Babylon. And think about what happened to Babylon. Think about what happened to Sodom.
That's what I'm
think
saying.
about what happened to Gomorrah. God will knock a country down if he needs to.
Yeah.
And man, there is so much bad stuff going on in this country right now. Honestly, I'm shocked that God ain't already knocked it down. Just to be honest with you.
Well, we have been knocked down, just not all the way, but we have been knocked down. Look what we suffered the last 4 years. Look at what we went through the last 4 years.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the last 10 years.
Yeah.
2016.
Yeah, I was going to say, look at what we've been through since 2008. Let's just put it out there and be honest about it.
Be truthful. Yeah,
you can roll it all the way back to 2008, and you can start seeing it decline as it came on.
Hey, that proves they were drugs back in the biblical days, because you remember Lot's wife was stoned. She turned into a pillow of salt.
Salt, yeah.
She was stoned.
Yep.
Yeah.
Guys, my little woman, the little woman that does the cooking for me, will be eating here in 5 minutes. So anybody want to carry the show on? You got it running, John. If you want to run it for a while, I need to eat. She's cooked. I know I could sit here and eat, but I find myself eating and talking and not enjoying my food as much.
I hear you. No, we could just let it in because I got to eat myself. So we could just.
I'm getting ready to jump off here and grab something myself.
I hate to
Less
leave
sick wants to let
a
them keep
room
it
full
going.
of people. We got a lot of folks here, 14 viewers out there, and we did have, thanks to John, 27 viewers. For all those that came in and joined us in this wide gamut of conversation, man, my heart just like, thank you. I appreciate it. Appreciate what you did, John. Sick. You're my rock, man. You know what I was going to do? I got it out. I was going to do this, but I ain't going to do it now because I realized I was going to roll up $100 bill and smoke it right here. I was going to roll it up. I got my lighter out. Ink in it. This has got ink in it, and be my luck, I get cancer and die next week. So I thought I just won't do it. So.
Oh my God.
Oh, man.
Well, guys, this has actually been a very fun live. I've enjoyed myself today. This has been great.
Me too.
Yeah.
Awesome,
I came home on a sick day. I wasn't feeling real good, so I left work early. But
Well, that's
Well,
but
you're
all right,
feeling
guys,
better
well, I'm gonna
now.
back on out of here, Mac. Yeah, Mac, I appreciate you letting us come in and take over and just go
Yeah.
completely crazy because this is what we do on Sunday nights. So.
Man, this is America. This is
All
America.
you daytime.
America.
Yeah, all you daytime people have now been exposed. All you daytime people have now been exposed to what me and John do on Sunday nights.
And sick.
Yep. Well,
Okay.
sick don't know whether he's sick. Don't even know what day is. So I don't know.
Toga,
Friday.
Toga,
Friday the 13th.
It is Friday.
Toga, I want to thank Toga
13th.
for the peace that he brings over in Turkey, and for he's like a stabilizer in all these different groups. He's there, and we
Toga,
appreciate
yeah.
Toga, and all you other fellows that came and joined us today. Well, God bless you, and let me go ahead and bring it to an end. Unless Moto wants to run it, I'm going to shut her down.
Shut her down.
All right, guys.
Shut her down.
See y'all
guys
later.
later tonight.
Take
All right.
care.
See ya.